Today I'm going to say leadership and management. What is to become a manager? This is very difficult topic for the company. I have some, my experience, and then according to book, to I say some kind of leadership and management. You've likely become a manager because you were successful as an individual contributor. You did good work and got it done on time and developed the technical and professional skills that allowed to excel. Now you've been asked to play a large role. As a manager, will measure successful differently through the achievement of your team rather than your individual accomplishment. This calls for a different skill set. When you become a manager, your technical expertise remains important, but no longer defines your responsibilities. Your job is to get results through the creativity, expertise, and energy of others. Now, today's I first look at the transition to leadership. What is the leadership? You may you may cannot answer what is the leadership is, but many article shows that manager and leadership is very different. So I'm going to say something about the manager and leadership. When you become a manager, it isn't just your title and responsibilities that change. Your idea of work and your identity involved too. As an individual contributor, you focused on your contribution to your team. As a leader, you have to navigate a complex now new landscape of authority to help others do their best too. This journey is one of the most significant you will experience in your professional life, an exciting opportunity that comes with the challenges too. Management represents a major departure from what you've done in the past, and what made you successful so far won't necessarily help you advance now. To stand out from the pack, you must understand the nature of your new role as a manager and leader, and prepare yourself for the changes and stress that can accompany this period of intense growth. Understanding your role as a manager. At its most basic level, your role as a manager is to set direction for your team and coordinate responses to resources to meet your organization's goal. Your boss and your direct report all have different expectations about what aspect of this work are most important. Your supervisor may emphasize planning and resource management, supporting corporate goals, managing risk, and accepting final accountability for your unit. Your employees likely have a different view. They look to you to organize and direct the group's strategic goals, support them as they accomplish tasks, solve problems, and answer questions decisively, and facilitate their long-term growth. As for your own expectations, you've spent years watching other managers and being managed by them. Along the way, you probably picked up plenty of ideas about how to do this right, and certain idea about what wrong looks like too. But as an individual contributor, you only saw a small part of your boss's life. How she thought about her role and the way she interacted with peers, supervisors, and contractors outside the company weren't entirely visible to you. So, as you navigate these experiences for yourself, you may need to overcome two common misconceptions: people versus task. When you were an individual contributor, success meant completing specific assignment, making a small sales call, for example, or designing a prototype. You may naturally assume that you will continue to use these small skills as a new manager. But now your job is to help your direct reports do these activities on their own. You coach the salesperson who makes the call or secure resources for the designer who's working on the prototype. Your purpose has shifted now from doing tasks to developing and directing people. This shift may feel counterintuitive. You once had the best sales record on the team, and now you are watching a less experienced person struggle with your old accounts. Resist the urge to show the person how you used to do it. Your own mastery isn't the point. Instead, you must help others thrive and develop their own competencies, redefining your own success to include that of the people on your team. Personal influence versus positional authority. New managers also often expect that their title will make it easier for them to implement their idea and are surprised to find that the opposite is true. Managers have a formal authority to make decisions, allocate resources, and direct employees. In theory, in actually, though people want to do something just because you tell them to, and they certainly want to do it well. Although you can use your positional authority to force compliance, your team members won't commit fully or deliver their best work under these conditions. You also want to benefit from the value of their perspective. Assuming a position of power means you must become more responsive to the needs of your direct report and the demands of your organization. You can simply announce a new professional development plan to your team. You also need to persuade them to take it seriously. You can't just decide on a budget for your division. You also need to convince the executive team to allocate the funds. By contrast, when you exercise influence, your people act because they find you are personally persuasive, your character, your competency, your word, or actions. You are not making them do something, they are choosing to do it because you are leading them effectively. That willingness makes all the differences. It means they are more likely to put forth their best effort and that you are more likely to achieve higher levels of team performance. To get to this point, you must meet your direct report where they are and engage their peer existing motivations. Down the line, your actions will create a deep well of trust that will allow you to influence your employees' behaviors, attitudes, and value. This is where your real power lies, not in your job description, but inside relationships, in the reciprocal interactions of ordinary office dynamic and politics. The differences between management and leadership. We have already used the term leaders and managers. But what's the differences? The topic has been the subject of much debate since Harvard Business School professor Abraham published the Harvard Business Review article in 1977 titled Managers and Leaders. Are they different? The piece caused the uproar in business school. It argued that the theoreticals of scientific management, which their organizational dynamics, diagrams, and time and motion uh, um, studies, were missing half the pictures. The half filled with inspiration, vision, and messy human nature. This professor argued was truly what leadership was about. As Harvard professor John Cotter later argued, management is about responding to complexity. To get a job done, managers must focus on control and predictability, and they must organize processes that will produce ordinary outcomes. Planning, budgeting, and staffing are all management activities. When you draw work task, as assignment, for example, or discuss optimizing a production line while wearing the manager's hat. Leadership, by contrast, explain Koto is about producing and responding to change. Leaders see opportunities in the instabilities that their major alter egos want to time, and they emphasize idea over process, setting direction, aligning people, and providing motivation are all leadership activities. When you coach a star employee or decide to halt your production optimization process because it's just not working, that's leadership. Kotor argues that management and leadership are complementary modes of being and need not be in conflict. The most successful managers in today's challenging business environment leverage both management and leadership competencies selectively to benefit the organization. In this book, we'll use the word "someone" interchangeably, uh, preparing manager for technical and administrative topics and leader for issues that touch on vision, strategy, and motivation. While your company determines when and how you transition to management, opportunities for leadership can present themselves at any time in your career. That's because leadership doesn't always require formal authority, but rather an array of intellectual and interpersonal skills. Demystifying leadership. Although management and leadership are deeply intertwined in practice, we have long put the idea of leadership on a higher plane. We often view it as requiring a set of innate traits: intelligence, self competence, vision, eloquence, and mystical blend of courage, charisma, and decisiveness. Those individuals with all of these traits were demanded, born leaders. But as science has revealed the plasticity of a human brain, we no longer think about these qualities as inborn or fixed. Instead, we see leadership as a constellation of skills that can be learned and capacity that can be nurtured over time. In other words, just because you want a senior class president doesn't mean you will never be a leader. This also means you will integrate leadership ability into your personality differently from your peer, depending on your underlying disposition. If you are more of an introvert, for example, you may be more eloquent in writing than in spontaneous conversation. But many of the makers we used to take as a shorthand for good leader are irrelevant or incorrect. For example, leaders don't just work in the C-suite. Leaders are everywhere and at every level. No one looks like a leader. Your gender, race, age, height, and rank are ultimately ephemeral. Extroverts aren't more effective leaders than introverts. Leaders aren't always hyper-confident in their judgment. You can change your mind and experience uncertainty. Leaders are as likely to be listening as talking. Right now, you already have some of the characteristics of a strong leader. Instead of burdening yourself with the question, "Am I a leader?" push yourself to identity this ability as a capitalize on them using the list in the common leadership trait. Access which of your leadership traits are most valuable in your organization's culture. Then think about your own self-image as a leader and how you want others to see you. This will help you identify what strengths to leverage and where you have an opportunity to improve in your new role and over the course of your career. Common leadership traits: intellectual. Informed, are you knowledgeable and well informed about your industry, your business, and your priorities? Future focused. Do you organize a short term task according to long term priorities? Decisive. Do you make decisions even though all the facts are not available? Can you make a different trade off? Comparable with ambiguity. Can you operate in uncertain environment with a few defensible guideposts? Do you adapt well to change? Social emotional, self aware. Do you pay attention to how your behavior affects others? Engaged. Do you emphasize with other people's needs, concern, and goals? Steady. Do you maintain a positive, focused perspective and continue to read during thermal and confusion? Trustworthy. Are your actions consistent with your values? Do you keep promise? Organizational. Collaborative. Do you work well and frequently with your boss, your peer, and your team members to deliver outstanding collective results? Influential. Do you listen closely, find the common ground, and express yourself clearly to persuade and drive influence outcome in the organization? Political attitude. Do you understand your organization's power structure? Do you grasp how key players thinking? Do you know where to turn for support and resources? Simulating. Do you challenge the state quo? Do you convince others to set high standard and strength goals? Your title makes you a manager, but whether you become a leader as well is up to you. Leadership is something you need to work as versus a state of being or destination. Former HBS Professor Robert Stephen Kaplan explained developing these traits is an ongoing practice. Handling the emotional challenges of the transition. As you begin your work as a manager, will experience a mix of emotions, including intense feelings of excitement, provide anxiety, and loneliness. At times, it may feel like an emotional um, whiplash. Let's look at two examples. A new branch manager described the feeling to Professor Linda Hill. Do you know how hard it is to be the boss when you are so out of control? It's the feeling you get when you have a child. All of a sudden, you are a mother or a father, and you are supposed to know everything there is to know about taking care of the kid. That's kind of a stark shift can be tough to handle. Management consultant Carol Rock describes a former client, smart, thoughtful, forward-thinking, resourceful, who admitted he was completely overwhelmed after 6 months in a new major position. He had started to doubt his own ability. Workers' right, he looked like a deer in the headlight. This kind of performance anxiety can be particularly unsettling if you are coming off staring of success as an individual contributor. Self-doubt crops up in new situations, and old coping mechanism may no longer apply. But these feelings are perfectly normal, and they will resolve naturally over time as your skills and competence grow. In the meantime, handle the situation in the motion moment by identifying the emotion and its source, and in the longer term, by taking care of your health and work-life balance. Step 1. Label your emotion. First, label what you are feeling. Just the act of naming the emotion. I'm feeling anxiety right now can help you motivate your response. Here are some common examples. Performance anxiety. I'm afraid I can't do this job. Regret. Why did I ever even take this job to begin with? Frustration. I keep making a mistake or things keep going wrong. Humility. I'm not ready for this job as I thought. Loath. I missed the identity, uh, camaraderie, and sense of competency I had in my old job. Confusion. I'm not sure where I fit in here anymore. Step 2. Find the source and a solution. Once you understand what you are feeling, consider where it's coming from. What are the cause of your stress? Your answer can help you identify new ways to cope with or mitigate the problem. There are four common sources of stress for new and developing uh, managers: low strain, problem solving fatigue, isolation, and imposter syndrome. Each has its own symptoms and concrete solution. Four sources of stress. Low strain. You face conflict, ambiguity, and overload in your position. Symptoms: you have too much work and too little time, information, and resources. Like the rookie manager in this example, you have conflicting responsibility like increasing revenue and reducing cost. Your answer to too many people, direct report, peer, supervisor, and customers pull you in multiple directions. Solution: concrete, quiet, regular period during your day for uninterrupted work. Pick a task on which you can make a good headway and protect this time from interruption. Acknowledge your deficiencies. You can be an expert on everything, so find people you can depend on to do the things you can't. Embrace imperfection. You can meet every demand that's made of you. Use your best judgment, negotiate priorities as needed, and adaptive in the aftermath. Problem solving fatigue. You feel pressure to solve different problems for other people. Symptom: you feel overwhelmed by the problems your direct report bring to you. You are dismayed that employees aren't meeting the standard to which you held yourself as an individual contributor. You manage a problem employees who provoke your anger, fear, anxiety, and frustration. Solution: draw boundaries around what kind of problem you will take on. Coach direct report on how to solve more problems on their own. For example, ask your employee to email you a summary of possible solution to their problem and a recommendation for how to proceed. Register urge to classify everyone who comes to you with concerns as a problem employee. Develop a physical cue to ground yourself in difficult interaction. Isolation. You mourn the loss of your old work life and are accumulating to a new social direction in the office. Symptoms: you don't have a clear group whose values and norms you identity with, like the lonely major. You must make unpopular decisions, and people are reacting with mistrust and resentment. You no longer have a casual social contract with your former peers now that they are your subordinate. Solutions: seek support and uh, companionship from other people in your organization, especially past co-workers who don't report to you. For example, set up lunch with a colleague, maybe another major who was prompted at the same time as you. Develop the new routines for making social contact with your team. Check in with a different person each morning as you settle in for the day, or host a regular midweek afternoon coffee break for the whole office. Imposter syndrome. You feel chronically inadequate and struggle to cancel the fact from others. Symptom: you are afraid to make or acknowledge mistake because you think that showing weakness will diminish your power. You worry that you aren't a good role model because everyone can see how stressed you are. You fear that your direct reporters' fatigue reflect on you. You feel uncomfortable with the amount of power you have over other people's lives. Solution: show some vulnerability. Share openly what you know, but also where you need more information. Seek out assistance from those who can help. Provide the assistance in turn. Admit your mistake. Honestly isn't a weakness. It makes you more accomplishable and credible. Focus on behavior instead of fixating on anxious feelings. Formulate specific actions that give you a sense of control over a stressful situation. For example, plan what you will say next time you are feeling overwhelmed, so that no matter how flattered or annoyed you are, you can gracefully own your actions or exit or situation and recover. Struggle to find time for important work. I recently worked with a young manager who had become so accustomed to responding to a steady flow of a problem that he was reluctant to block off any time to work on the strategic initiatives we had identified. When I probed, he revealed that he felt a critical part of his role was to wait for crises to arise. What if I scheduled this time and something urgent comes up and I disappoint someone? He asked. When I pointed out that he could always postpone his strategy sessions if a true emergency arose, he seemed relieved. Take care of yourself. All of these coping mechanisms are strategies you can use to deal with emotional stress as they arise. Ideally, though, you wouldn't have to wait for a crisis to act. What um, preventative measures can you take to keep yourself on even in during the transition? We'll take more about work-life balance for the long term in personal productivity, but it's particularly important to focus on prevention as you take on the stress of new roles. Don't neglect your personal life. Cutting yourself off from a support network triggers a nasty feedback loop of emotional stress and poor performance. Friends and family can listen to what you are going through and reconnect you with a part of your life and yourself that makes you feel good. Protect your downtime. Stress takes a mental and physical toll. Your brain needs a break, needs so does your body. Give yourself a day or even a half day off occasionally and spend the time doing whatever activities you find more rejuvenating. Take care of your health. Don't skip meals and carve out time for an exercise regime. More importantly, try to get enough sleep. Chronic sleep deprivation impairs your thinking and put you at higher risk for a host of medical problems from heart attacks to depression. Keep your job in perspective. When work feels as if it's spinning out of control, recenter yourself by asking what's most important to me, what really counts in life. Nothing is worth your sanity, your physical health, or your family and friends. Compromising those part of your life won't solve your problems. It will only make you more vulnerable to a major collapse. All major, all new majors struggle to cope with the feelings that accompany their new responsibilities. And the truth is that this struggle never really goes away. Even experiences managers uh, wrestled with problems like low strain and imposter syndrome, especially when events at work or at home put them under extra stress. So it's important to run to recognize this strain and be kind to yourself as you develop your own strategies for managing them. These first 6 to 12 months of your new role will be whirlwind of new experiences. As you grow rapidly as a manager and a leader, you will find yourself doing things you'd never thought you'd do. Some will be mandate, like helping an employee find a better desk away from the air conditioning vent, and some others will be exhilarating or terrifying in their enormity, such as pinching a new direction for R&D, supporting a co-worker through a health crisis, or going all in with your team to keep your warehouse operating during a bad storm. We only get to make this transition with all its highs and lows once in your lifetime, but the journey of leadership will last for your whole career. Thank you very much. Today's is I introduced about what is differences between manager and leadership. So you have to find out what is exact meaning of leadership and manager. So maybe you can help some become a manager. That's important to transition to the manager. Thank you.